we've broken down our conference winners. Let's go one more time through it. Clemson for both of us, Arizona State for both of us. You got Ohio State in the Big Ten. I got Penn State. And then in the SEC, you want Georgia. And I have Texas. Next up, let's break all that down into our playoff predictions. This is what our brackets look like. Raza, first for you. Raza Umarani's official prediction for his college football playoff bracket this season. What do you see?
I see a format that I'm not a big fan of. I do think that I also know that's not necessarily what you asked me, but I had to get it off my chest. I do not like the 12-team playoff as a whole, and then I'm not a huge fan of the change they made of everything being ranked straight. I understand that Arizona State and Boise State maybe didn't quote unquote deserve first round byes last year, but I think if you win a conference title, that has to mean something other than just getting an automatic bid. And then I still think even if you're going to seed this thing straight, this should be reseeded after the first round. But I digress. What you see on screen is just the kind of manifestation of the standings predictions that you just showed, Giovanni. I think Ohio State and Clemson will be your 13-0 teams heading into the playoff, and I think Georgia gets in at 12-1. I think Notre Dame gets that last bye. We haven't talked about them because we're talking so much about conferences, but we all know Notre Dame is crazy talented. They did God's work in the transfer portal. They got a little bit of a question mark at quarterback, but Marcus Freeman's a dog, and they should be back in the playoff definitely with a very manageable schedule. So I think they're able to get that fourth bye, probably at 11-1, maybe 12-0, but the committee would probably honor a conference title over anything Notre Dame does sitting on their butts on championship weekend. And then the rest of it, honestly, is an SEC fest. You've got LSU, you've got Texas, you've got Alabama in there. I think Penn State will be the last team without a bye because they'll have 2 losses after the title game. Oregon, I have at 11-1. Again, I said that I had them at third in the Big Ten. I think they're still going to be behind Penn State because they didn't get to a conference title game. Same reason they're behind LSU at 6. Arizona State gets a home game at 8 because they won the conference title over Texas, who doesn't even play for a conference title. And then Florida is my last team of the Power 4 to get in, just because I think their losses might look better than those first 2 out I mentioned, or that are in the bottom of the screen, Miami and Illinois. And my group of 5 representative is Dan Mullen's UNLV.
Yes, sir.
This is a team that is just completely new. Like, if you go through their roster, everybody is a transfer, and they were good last year. Like, they were on the doorstep of the college football playoff last year if they were able to pull an upset against Boise State in the title game. I think this year the Mountain West actually runs through UNLV. They got a bit of a quarterback battle right now between Alex Orji and Anthony Calandria, who's our favorite quarterback in the world, obviously. I think they're going to make it work, and I think Mullen's coaching will get them over the top in the Mountain West. So give me UNLV to make the college football playoff and represent the group of 5.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Great bracket. Great bracket.
Oh, I try. Thank you.
I love too you peek at it one more time. It makes sense where you put everybody, right? With your 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I vibe with it. All right. This is my big reveal for the 2025 college football playoff bracket predictions. We don't agree, and we shouldn't, right? Because then what would we ever have to talk about?
Exactly.
Here we go. I have my 1 seed being the Texas Longhorns after an SEC title victory, 13-0, 9-0 total in SEC play with that conference championship. Huge wins at Ohio State to open the season. I got the Longhorns going in and taking down the Buckeyes at Florida, at Oklahoma, at Georgia, against Texas A&M. Give me the Longhorns with the number 1 overall seed. I got Penn State at the 2. I take them as the Big Ten champions. I just think that this team is so talented, and then they added onto it, right? Everybody's coming back. What couldn't we do terrifically well? Some downfield passing. What are we going to do? Bolster the wide receiver room and give Drew Aller plenty of tools and toys to play with, on top of arguably one of the best backfields, if not the best backfield in college football, with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, on top of a great defense. I like it. I like it a lot. I got Penn State, the 2. The 3, I take Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame, 12-0, clean sweep of the regular season. I think Notre Dame's loaded. They're going through a quarterback battle right now. CJ Carr and Kenny Mitchell. we just saw today that they're saying Kenny Minchie might be getting the slight edge over CJ Carr. We'll see how it all plays out, but I like Notre Dame. Big wins at Miami. That's the start of the year, against Texas A&M, against USC. After the first 2 weeks, Notre Dame's schedule lightens up. Like, their two hardest games are right off the rip. They play at Miami and against Texas A&M in South Bend. And then after that, it's pretty smooth sailing. I like them to get through the first 2 weeks and then kind of coast the rest of the year. I got Clemson at the 4. Obviously the ACC champ. LSU for me is the first team that is without the bye. 11-2, SEC runner-up. Their losses, I think they're going to lose at Clemson to start, and I think they're going to lose to Texas at home in Death Valley. And then their big wins against Florida, at Ole Miss, against South Carolina. I think, again, they're going to win that big one at Alabama week 11 to punch their ticket to the SEC title. I think they'll beat A&M. I think they'll win at Oklahoma. My 6th seed, I got the Ohio State Buckeyes, 10-3, 8-2. That's the Big Ten runner-up. Loss against Texas, and then they lose to Penn State twice. They lose to Penn State in the shoe, and they lose to Penn State in the Big Ten title game. I think you're licking your chops if you're an Indy Lion fan, and if you're a Buckeye fan, you're probably rolling your eyes and laughing, saying, show it, because we've never seen it before. And that's a pretty fair argument. Alabama is the 7 for me, 11-1 in the regular season, 7-1 in SEC play. They just missed the SEC championship game due to that loss to LSU. Ty Simpson, I think he really gets things going. If they get better than adequate, if they get good quarterback play, this roster is good enough to be the 7th seed in the college football playoff and maybe make a run to the national championship. Wins at Georgia, at South Carolina, and against Oklahoma. Big loss to LSU. I got Oregon as the 8, 11-1 in the Big Ten, 8-1 in the Big Ten play. Dante Moore, we'll see what he looks like at quarterback. I think Oregon, the big thing for me, Raza, very favorable schedule. They avoid Ohio State. They avoid Michigan. They avoid Illinois. They avoid Nebraska. Their hardest games are at Penn State. You can chalk it up as a whiteout loss. Against Indiana, they get them in Eugene. At Iowa, definitely not going to be an easy one at Kinnick. And then against USC, but they get that one at home. So I have Oregon as the 8. I have them losing just one game in the regular season. That's at Penn State. Arizona State for me is the 9. And I have them as low as the 9 because I have them actually going 11-2, 8-2 in Big 12 play. I have them as the Big 12 champ. I have them beating Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. But their losses, to me, I just don't think Arizona State is talented and deep enough to like not drop a couple of duds, right? They'll get up for the big games. I have them losing at Utah. You know, it's a tough place to play. And I have them dropping a head scratcher at Colorado. I just think that's what happens when you're not a deep, team built like an SEC Big Ten caliber team. You drop one you shouldn't, but it's a very winnable league. They do just that and get into the playoff with the 9 seed. South Carolina is the 10 for me, 9-3, 6-2. Losses to Clemson, Alabama, and at LSU. When you lose to 3 playoff teams and win the rest of your games, you probably should be in, and that's what Lenora Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks do. Georgia Tech for me is the 11. This is where this is a team that's not even on yours. 10-3 on the year, 7-2 at ACC play. They're the ACC runner-up. Losses to Georgia and Clemson twice. Wins at Colorado, at Duke, against Syracuse. Super favorable schedule. My fear is it's not a strong enough resume to get them into the playoff. That's my only downfall with Georgia Tech because they avoid Miami, they avoid Louisville, they avoid SMU, they avoid Florida State. 46th schedule nationally. Is it enough to get the Yellow Jackets in? They might need to win one game better, but we'll see. And then UNLV is my 12. Mountain West Conference champs, Dan Mullen, baby. This is how it's going to play out, right? 12-1 12-1 on the year, 8-1 in Mountain West play, 11-1 regular season. You lose at Boise State on October 18th. You get revenge by running the table and then beating Boise State at their own place again in the Mountain West Championship game. Big win against UCLA early in the year. That's at the Death Star, week 3 on September 6th. And I like UNLV to go to the college football playoff. Raza, I'm curious to talk about the two teams that each of us have just on the outside. For me, it was Illinois and Florida. For you, who was it again? You'll have to
It was
remind me.
Illinois and Miami, so very similar.
Illinois and Miami. Why are they just on the edge and not in?
I think Miami will be in a position in the conference championship game against Clemson where if you win, obviously you automatically get in. I think it's a position for them where it's more than just an automatic qualifier. Like if they were to lose maybe close, they might get an edge over a team like Florida, for example.
So like
But
SMU last year.
kind of like SMU last year. But I think that it would be hard, obviously, to kind of ding a team for losing a conference championship because at least they got there. But like Florida, for example, I think if it comes down to Florida and Miami, well, then the tie goes to whoever won the game in the regular season. And I think that Florida wins that game in the regular season. So that's my rationale with Miami. I think they're just going to miss it because they lose the conference championship and then lose to Florida earlier in the year. And then Illinois, I think you and I can agree on, is like a team that's very talented, very well coached. They're going to have a good, I mean, they just won 10 games last year at Illinois. Yeah. That's no small potatoes. So I think they're going to be able to run it back and have a 9 to 10 win season this year, but just not good enough to get an at-large over a team like a Alabama, like a Florida, like a Texas, because they just don't have the resume that stacks up against them, because they're going to lose that game to Ohio State. And they're not going to have a marquee win on their schedule necessarily. So I think that holds them back from getting in as well.
Yeah, same story for me with Illinois, 10-2 in the regular season, 8-1 in Big Ten play. They finished fourth in the Big Ten. Wins at Indiana and against USC, but who did you beat? I have them losing at Duke, actually. I have their two losses to Ohio State and at Duke. I think we're going to learn a lot about both Duke and Illinois when those two square off pretty early, because we're high on both of them. We really are. Mm-hmm. And I think there's very fair reason to be high on both of them. And I just think not that Duke's a tough place to play, but I think they're starting to buy in more. And Illinois fans this isn't an ACC game where they're playing like NC State. Illinois fans aren't going to travel to Duke because Illinois fans are fairly fair weather as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty great Duke crowd. And I think the Blue Devils get the advantage. I think they have the better quarterback, honestly, which is crazy to say with Illinois having Luke Altmaier.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you know what they say? You know where Illinois students spend their Saturday afternoons?
Where?
The library.
Yeah, I figured you were gonna say that. There you go.
Yeah. My dad went there, so I would know.
Oh, okay. There you go. Because like I would think like Vanderbilt students maybe. I was like, is Illinois prestigious academically?
Listen, you're either good on the gridiron or you're good in the classroom. Very few are good at both. Illinois is better in but they're on their way. They're on their way, and so is Duke. This is the nerd battle of the century. I actually can't wait to watch that. Like I have that is a marquee in this household, marquee non-conference game.
You could be good on the gridiron. You can be good in the classroom, but when you're good at that and on the lacrosse field, you're a Syracuse Orangeman.
Exactly.
And on the basketball court.
True. Well. Maybe not for a few years.
Maybe not in recent time.
You never know. You never know. Kyan Anthony, shout out.
True. All right, and then I have Florida as that second team out. 9-3 in the regular season, 5-3 in the SEC. Crazy that the fifth place team in the SEC is just barely missing the playoff, right? But their wins are against Tennessee, at Ole Miss, Georgia, and Miami are the marquee wins. Losses, you just need to win one of these marquee games, and I don't know if I see them doing it. I mean, Georgia's a great win. Miami's probably a strong win, but I don't see them beating Texas. I have them losing at Texas A&M because it's in College Station, and I have them losing at LSU because it's in Death Valley. These games are at the Swamp. We might be punching DJ Lagway's ticket with the 6th seed, but they're not. They're not. Their toughest games are all on the road, unfortunately, for the Gators. And then Georgia, you don't even get at home either. It's on a neutral site. I have them winning the game, but that's never easy either. So that's where I have Florida shaping up. If I had like a 15th team, would have been Michigan. I know you're not going to agree with this. And they might actually have a better resume than Florida, but I think Florida's strength of schedule and record is a little bit larger. because I have Michigan at 10-2 and 8-1 in conference play. But again, it goes down to Florida having a stronger schedule in my thoughts. Man, that's fun, though. That was fun to do all the math and all the algorithms and put all that together to make those playoff brackets.
Because that's a problem I have with today's, like, again, with all due respect to the members of the media, so many times you will just put names on a list and not think of how you're getting there. Like, if you're going to have team X above team Y, but they play each other in the regular season and you think team Y is going to beat them and maybe get one extra win, like, why are you don't rank based on talent or anything like that. Like, just work through the schedule and do the math. Like,
yeah, there's websites that help you do it.
Dude, I'm not smart enough to do this on my own. Like, I use all the websites in the world. And then when it comes to making the playoff, like, why do you think like all the teams like 1 through 6 are going to be in the SEC? Like, or if you think Notre Dame's going to go undefeated, shouldn't they be a top 2 seed? Like, all of these things. So take the 30 seconds and let the computer handle it, and then put it together. So you're right. I'm glad we did that, because it makes, you know, we at the end of the day are just putting this into a computer and letting it spit it out. But at least that is better than just going blind. So it was a lot of fun. And I think it seems like when you look at it from this perspective, it's like more realistic than if you just have all these other teams randomly placed.